what the flick? Oh my God, we're all here! And to drink us all in, you're going to get this one shot for the next 10 minutes.
Yay.
So enjoy it now.
We're the legends of today and only today. For tomorrow is another day.
There you go. And we die.
And we die.
Another day. Francis, Bibbs, Alonso, the last Flash before their winter break.
And it's a good thing it's a Christmas episode, so
Yes.
that's why you're here.
That's yes, and for no other reason. No.
For those who don't know, Alonso wrote literally the book on Christmas movies.
He is Mr. Christmas.
Have yourself a movie, Little Christmas. Buy
why,
it!
That's why I'm dressed so festively today. Anyway, I did get caught up. I was so pissed I didn't get to be here last week for the Flaro crossover because that raised up a lot of interesting stuff. But yeah, so it's our holiday episode, and finally the long brewing sexual tension between Jay Garrick and. Why do I always
Dr.
forget her
Snow.
name? Dr. Snow comes to a peck on the cheek, and I'll take it.
We were calling those who were shipping Felicity, those who were shipping Dr. Snow and Barry Snowberries. So what should we call the
Snow Garys.
Snow Garys! Oh, that's awesome! Snow Garys. They're cute.
Yeah.
They really did milk that joke a little too much, though.
What,
where
the
like
crossing of worlds?
Well, because the whole thing is like,
the
what's Christmas? First time was funny. Fifth time you've killed that joke.
Yeah.
That's gonna just be like that one. That's like whenever you ask someone like, "Oh, you got a haircut?" No, I got all of them cut. Ha 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 ha. I've heard that 50 times.
Yeah.
That's his new joke.
I know you gotta love a network TV show where somebody has to explain Christmas and Jesus is never mentioned. Not really a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what do we got?
Well, this is actually a kind of a momentous episode because this is the first time. Really, we've seen a lot of rogues who aren't necessarily like related to each other in some pre-existing way team up. This is actually something that's in the comics a lot. The idea that the rogues are a community and that they all know each other and they all kind of, have a relationship to each other the way like all of the Flash teammates do.
The hatred of the Flash brings them together.
Exactly, but even though they're not necessarily all on the same page, and so we've got the Trickster, we've got the Weather Wizard, we've got Captain Cold. Could have had more, but that's enough for now.
Sure.
And we got to see them play off of each other a little bit, got to see them team up, and they had what was initially kind of an awesome idea for a supervillain plan that was solved in the stupidest way imaginable.
Magnets.
Yeah.
We're going to turn, how do they work? Like, we're going to turn this one bomb into a magnet that only affects other bombs the Trickster made? I know it's
What about the
fake
rest
science,
of it?
but
I was just expecting
does
like
that
all
work?
home appliances just to be dragged out. Everything was getting thrown through.
These kinds of things make me really appreciate the acting on this show because there is so much science gabble that means nothing and makes no sense. And Cisco sells
it,
that
right?
crap like nobody else in prime time. He can just like, blah, 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 and it's okay, yes, whatever that was, let's do that. Even if it's nonsense.
So it wasn't. I won't say it was one of my favorite episodes. I mean, I really had been appreciating the way the Flash was going. It was okay. I do like Captain Cold's kind of character. I don't understand his motive as of yet to continue to help the Flash and give him these kind of heads up going forward. And he says that he doesn't like to be involved in any sort of crime that's a non-profit. So I'm trying to figure out what his immediate incentive was to try and help them, or try and help the Flash be more prepared.
Well, I think the Trickster is clearly just in it for the mayhem.
Yes.
He's the set the money on fire guy.
Yes.
Whereas I think Captain Cold is a lot more pragmatic, and so
Weather Wizard's more vengeance driven than anything else.
And I think Flash got it right, where he said, "You don't want to owe me."
Yeah.
Well, I think there's two things going on with Captain Cold. One is that he's a very old school sort of honorable villain. He's a villain, but he still has his own rules, and he has his own set of ethics, and they're very specific. And that's one of the things that makes him very, very interesting. The other thing that's going on that we simply have to acknowledge is the fact that he's being set up to appear in Legends of Tomorrow, this new team-up show with a bunch of side characters from both Arrow and the Flash. Both him and Heatwave are kind of going to be like Dirty Dozen type characters who are going to have an opportunity to turn themselves into heroes. And I think they're laying foundation for that now. If he was super evil now, it might be harder to accept that transition later. It would be sort of like before the Dirty Dozen, we had like a prequel with Telly Savalas. And that's kind of what we're doing right now with Captain Cold.
And then we were set up for a dramatic, obviously, ending for it when we get introduced to Wally West. Is it his name? Will it be Wally West? Or is
it's Wally West.
His name's Wally West?
That's who he is in the comics. It's who he is now.
So how do you feel about the way he was introduced to it? Do you think, I thought they were going to kind of drag it out out, and maybe he would have some sort of storyline, which we don't know yet. It just seems like he just turned up, fresh-faced, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and ready to go.
Yeah, because nothing like showing up at a Christmas party to really meet people for the first time in a non-awkward setting. It was a little forced, but I'm sure it's like, okay, we're going to move past this, and now, like incorporate him more into the story. Do we think the show wants to have a second Flash?
I think so. I think we're setting it up for eventually anyway. Maybe not this season.
So he's the Deborah Winger of this show.
Yeah. Well, there's a history in the DC universe in particular of sort of like superhero internship programs. Like a lot of superheroes have their sort of younger counterpart. Aqua Lad, Wonder Girl, and Kid Flash was one of them as well. I don't think he's going to call himself Kid Flash. I'll probably make a joke about it and then move on. But
Cisco will throw that out
Cisco
and
will
get rejected.
Let's not name anything. That's his title.
Yeah, there you
things.
go. But no, I mean, you don't introduce Wally West and then never plan to go there. But you can take a while. Like one of the more interesting storylines in Green Arrow history in the comics was when Oliver Queen became mayor of Star City, and that was a very interesting ongoing storyline. They're just getting to that now. It's like season 5. Like, give them time. Like, they're laying foundation.
Do we think the long game for Berlanti and DC and whoever is to maybe do a live-action Teen Titans or Young Justice or something?
I think I interviewed Greg Berlanti and I think Mark Guggenheim and a couple of people behind the show on a couple of occasions. They would love to do all that stuff, is what they told me, but they also have limitations. There's literally only so many shows they can make.
Sure.
Yeah. So at the moment, they've got 3 for CW. It's Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, and Flash, and some of them are also working on Supergirl, and I think they're a little tapped out at the moment, but I would never rule anything out in the future. DC is having like a really good run on television right now. They're really kicking ass, and they're doing an arguably better job setting up a live-action universe in TV than they're probably doing in movies, because they have to really hit the ground running. They did one Superman movie and then bam, we got to do a whole Justice League kind of at once. They don't have a lot of time. So here they can keep this going forever. If Arrow and Flash get canceled someday, Supergirl could still keep going. We could bring back Constantine. You could give the Atom his own show. Legend of Tomorrow. You can do other shows. Give Blue Beetle his own show. You know, they keep teasing Ted Kord in these things. They'll get to him eventually. You know, all of this is very, very promising, but I'm not in any hurry because I think they're doing a good job. Right now.
I think they're making good, steady progress. I do want to touch on one thing I liked about the episode. I mean, I think Barry Allen, for me, is always grown through every episode. I think he's getting better as an actor. I know we had our doubts about him at the start, but that one scene that I thought was pretty interesting was when he had to pretend that this world's Harrison Wells was the previous Harrison Wells. It was so evil to him. I think that was the theme of the episode, that in order to move forward, you have to forgive. But of course, that just sets us up for the massive downfall, which is he's going to be betrayed once more because he has to do it. And then you can't really blame Harrison Wells. That scene was pretty heartbreaking at the end when he has his daughter back, who's a lot older than I thought she would be. I thought she would be like a young girl. But
we've seen Jessica before.
Oh, we have? All right. Well, Jesus, I just forgot about it. But it's like he did kind of set himself up for a storyline where you can sympathize with him because you see obviously the devastation that is happening to him.
We have kind of skipped vengeance-minded cop B story.
Yeah, we have.
Which has been interesting, you know, the idea of her entire life up to that point having been so solely focused, and then when she finally gets there, that was, I thought, another good scene for Grant Gustin was when the Flash is sort of talking her out.
Did you think he was going to like say something that she was going to click that was a Flash? I thought she was.
It's a little contrived that she doesn't know yet. It's not like they have no reason to trust her.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm sure at some point they're just going to, like, you know, as they did with Iris.
I
like,
thought
let's
that would
just tell her already.
I thought that would have been a perfect scene. That the only way to kind of really that would solidify that relationship for me is that if she was, because I know we all kind of expect Iris to come back into the picture, but I do like that he has some other thing that he has to focus on that's helping him get through it. But the scene where she said beforehand that she doesn't really feel the way she should feel for him because she's holding on to this grudge, when she was about to take those extreme actions, I think it would have been a good scene for him to kind of say something that she could only resonate with Barry. And it would kind of create that connection.
Well, it would have been a way to do that, but that's not what they want to do.
I think certainly, though, the longer now that he plays out the not telling her, I think the more annoyed she'll be that he has all this information and that he was playing both sides of it and not telling her, and that's kind of shitty.
I think we're enormously overdue for a part when someone finds out that he's the Flash and isn't cool with it.
Yeah, of course.
Like, and it's, like, I actually think this is gonna, because the thing is that, like, I love her, Patty. I think she's a fun character. I think they really did handle the storyline very, very well with her. At the same time, he's going to end up with Iris. Maybe not now. Maybe in season 7. Who knows? But it's going to happen.
But soon for the rest of your life.
We got to write her off eventually. And I think what might actually happen is she's going to find out Barry is the Flash, and she's going to feel enormously betrayed.
Yeah.
And that's going to push them apart. And then maybe she'll end up taking Velocity 6 and become a villain or something. There's things to happen.
Yeah.
There's things to do here.
Yeah, you're right, because every time someone has found out about it, it's been that whole 10 minutes about, oh, you should have told me, and then, oh, this is awesome, let's run.
Yeah.
So
Velocity 6 was one of my favorite bands of the 80s, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's my new Tumblr page, too. Yeah, no, so one thing I do want to say is I was watching this episode, and it occurred to me that one of the MVPs of the show, who we don't talk about enough, and I wish I looked up the actor's name. I'm bad with actors' names sometimes. Joe West
Yeah, he's really good.
has a tough...
Oh, Jesse L. Martin.
Jesse, thank you. He has such a tough job in this episode. He's got this soap opera subplot. He found out he had a lost son. That's hard to make plausible, let alone sell emotionally. And he has the most dramatic, sincere, emotional, sympathetic faces.
Yes.
That it keeps the show really, really grounded, even when Mark Hamill is giving away explosive toys.
Right.
You know?
And
That's tough.
for a guy who came from Broadway, he really gets how to camera act.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
He's fantastic.
And again, I've always said, Grant Gustin came from Glee and he came from Rent. There really needs to be a musical episode on this show.
It's only a matter of time. You know what they did? They did on Batman the Brave and the Bold, they did a musical episode where they had a musical villain who forced everyone to sing, and it was played by Neil Patrick Harris. And don't tell me you can't get Neil Patrick Harris for one episode of The Flash. You do that episode. Holy cow, I want that episode so bad.
We were talking about potentially having another karaoke episode because we had that famous one from last year,
right,
which was
right,
like,
right.
look at me, I can sing. And Bibb said that he should have sang Run, Run, Rudolph. Which is pretty funny.
I think that's the way to
And
go.
maybe Michael Michael,
You can do it.
His name. The guy.
John Barrowman.
John Barrowman.
John
thank
Barrowman,
you.
oh, yeah, because
not the guy from The Hills Have Eyes. John
Yeah.
Barrowman could come wandering in from Arrow.
Yes.
Because he sings too.
I remember to say that about John Barrowman because I remember he was in the crossover episode and I had no idea he was in American television that much because he's always been in Scottish television back home.
Yeah, no, he's a big
sweetheart in
thing over
Scotland.
here
Yeah.
now, largely thanks
Well,
to
most
Torchwood.
Scottish people are when
the
they're
nerds
handsome.
dig him.
Scottish people are all over Gotham in particular. We can't
Oh,
get rid of
but
you
you can't
guys.
get rid of them.
Yes, handsome Scottish people do well, and so does Francis.
So we're going on a break for the Flash for Christmas. What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for the rest of this half of the season?
I want a Flash figure. I want an action figure, Flash figure for Christmas.
We got to grab it out of the hands of an old lady, apparently.
Yeah.
What would I like to see from this show?
Good question.
I think they've been on the right track so far, so I'm kind of trusting them to continue with this. I think they have incorporated the multiverse in a way that it doesn't seem cheeseball and has opened themselves up to some interesting plot developments. I hope that Wally West becomes a part of the ensemble organically and that they give him something interesting to do besides like, I never had a dad. Some more than that would be nice.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I want to see where it goes.
I want to see an Earth other than Earth 2. I think because they've said that there's like 52 of them.
Captain Carrot and the Zoo Crew.
Captain Carrot and the Zoo Crew would be cool. I want to see the Earth where everyone is just the opposite, and there's like an evil Flash.
Oh, right.
And like there's an evil
Luthor's a hero,
vibe.
right.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do that. I think it's only a matter of time, but we'll get there eventually.
What's that Star Trek episode?
Mirror. Yeah, but they brought the Mirror Universe back a bunch of times.
Yeah, I know, but I want like evil Flash with a goatee.
Why not? Awesome. We got Owlman in there. It'll be really, really, really cool. So,
Francis?
Last point. I'm in the same boat as you. I like the story arc that they're presenting now with Harrison Wells. I think I would like to see how Barry responds to being reminded of the pain, because he seems to have gone on the road towards forgiveness to Harrison Wells, even though that's not him. I like that story arc to see how he now has to basically betray in order to get his daughter back. So I think I like the way the show's going.
I like the way it's going too. So everybody, thank you very much for catching up with us on The Flash. We'll be back. Alonso, take us out.
Happy holidays.